The galaxy had known peace for many years. A fragile peace that had been carefully built between the many species that called it home. The large alien empires, powerful and proud, had settled into a delicate balance. War seemed impossible. All the alien races had advanced far beyond humanity, and no one believed that a species like humans could ever rise to challenge them. But in the farthest reaches of the galaxy, something was changing. Deep in the uncharted space, something appeared. It wasn't noticed at first. It wasn't like the usual space anomalies. There were no warning signs, no massive waves of energy. It was just there, silently, appearing out of nowhere. Some ships passed it without even knowing it was there. Others, who were closer, noticed a strange fluctuation in space-time. A slight bending of the laws that governed the universe. But no one thought much of it. Then, it appeared on the scanners of the Galactic Defense Fleet. An enormous object, impossibly large, like nothing they had ever seen before. Its shape was a blur on the screens, constantly shifting as though it existed in multiple states at once. The ship was moving at impossible speeds, faster than any technology known to the galaxy. The sensors couldn't catch it, and no one could understand how it could be moving without breaking the laws of physics. In the heart of the Galactic Defense Fleet, Admiral Marcus Klein watched as the strange object appeared on his screen. Had seen many strange things in his time, but this was something new. The ship, if it could be called that, was too large to be a simple warship. And yet, there was no denying that it was heading straight for the heart of the galaxy, where the Council of the Galaxy's leaders met. "We need to investigate," Marcus said, his voice calm but filled with urgency. "This ship, it doesn't belong here. It doesn't even make sense." He ordered a small team to prepare for a reconnaissance mission. The Admiral knew the risks, but they couldn't wait. The unknown was already too close. The small fleet, led by Marcus's personal ship, set off towards the object. As they approached, the object started to take shape. The sensors finally locked onto it. It was huge, larger than any known ship, and yet it seemed to defy the laws of physics, appeared and disappeared in flashes, shifting its position as if it could control time itself as the fleet got closer. They could see that the ship was not just a ship. It was something more. The metal surface was smooth, but constantly shifting as though it was alive. The ship seemed to pulse with an energy that wasn't detectable by any of their equipment. "What kind of technology is this?" one of the officers whispered. Marcus could barely believe what he was seeing. It was as if the ship existed in multiple dimensions at once. He thought back to the stories of ancient human legends, of things that were beyond understanding, things that could break all the rules. But those were stories. This was real, and it was human-made. What if this is a human ship? Marcus thought out loud, but how could they build something like this? Before anyone could respond, a voice crackled through their communication system. "This is Admiral Marcus Klein of the Galactic Defense Fleet. We come in peace. Please identify yourself." There was a long silence before a strange voice responded. It was calm and clear, but distant, almost as if it was coming from a far-off place. "This is the quantum-locked warship," the voice said. "We are human." Marcus froze, the hairs on the back of his neck standing up. This was impossible. Humanity had always been viewed as a primitive species, one that couldn't even begin to understand the advanced technology of the galaxy's empires. How could humans have built something like this? How could they have created a ship that could defy the very laws of space and time? A chill ran down his spine, but the realization hit him. The galaxy's greatest fear had just arrived, and it was made by humans. The alien leaders had always underestimated humanity, believing them to be no threat, a species struggling to survive in a galaxy full of far more advanced civilizations. But now, a human-made warship that defied everything they knew had appeared. And the question was no longer how to defeat it, but how to understand it. The fleet had no choice but to follow the orders given by the highest councils. They were to keep their distance and observe, to learn about the warship. But there was an underlying fear that this ship was not just a marvel of technology, it was a a message that humanity was no longer the helpless species they had once been. This warship, this quantum-locked ship, could be the beginning of something far more dangerous than anyone could imagine. Admiral Marcus Klein's thoughts raced as he stared at the ship on his screen. If this was really a human ship, if humanity had come so far as to create something that could rewrite the rules of the galaxy, the balance of power had just shifted, and nothing would ever be the same again. The days following the appearance of the quantum-locked warship were filled with confusion and fear. The Galactic Council, a group of the galaxy's most powerful species, had convened in secret to discuss what to do. No one had expected humanity to rise to such power. No one had even known humans were capable of creating a ship like the one now floating silently in space. Admiral Marcus Klein and his crew were still in shock. They had been the first to investigate the ship, and now they were trying to make sense of the unbelievable technology they had encountered. They had docked their ship near the quantum-locked warship, unsure of what to expect. The strange vessel seemed almost alive, constantly shifting, its form never the same for long. Inside the warship, Marcus and his team stepped cautiously through the halls. The walls seemed to move, as if the ship was rearranging itself. Every corner they turned revealed new structures, corridors, and chambers they hadn't noticed before. It was as if the ship was evolving, adapting to its environment. Nothing about it made sense. "This ship isn't just a warship," one of Marcus's officers said, his voice filled with awe. It's something else. It's alive." Marcus nodded slowly. He, too, felt the strange energy in the air. There was something almost magical about it, a sense of power that defied reason. The ship's design was unlike anything seen in the galaxy. No one had ever created a vessel that could bend the laws of physics so completely. Yet here it was, a living, breathing force of technology. As they ventured deeper into the ship, they came across a massive control room. The walls were covered in glowing symbols, none of which made any sense to Marcus or his crew. It was clear that this ship wasn't meant for any ordinary mission. This was something far beyond anything the galaxy had seen. At the center of the room, a glowing interface appeared. It hummed with energy, and the symbols on the walls shifted, as if responding to the team's presence. Marcus approached the interface cautiously, unsure what would happen next. He reached out and touched it, and suddenly, the ship's voice spoke again, clear and calm. "We are the quantum-locked warship," the voice said. "We have been waiting for you." Marcus's heart raced. "Waiting for us? Who are you?" he asked, his voice steady, but filled with curiosity. The voice paused before answering. "We are humanity's last hope. We were built to protect, not destroy, but our purpose is now clear. The galaxy is not ready for us, and we are not ready for the galaxy." The words seemed to hang in the air, heavy with meaning. The warship, it seemed, wasn't just a ship. It was a tool, a weapon, and perhaps a message. Marcus couldn't help but wonder what kind of galaxy they were dealing with. If this ship was humanity's creation, then humanity had come along, way from the primitive species the galaxy had once thought them to be. But why now? Marcus asked. Why show up now, after all this time? The warship's voice answered again, but this time there was an edge of sadness in its tone. Humanity has been lost for centuries. We were left behind, forgotten, but the galaxy has changed. The balance has shifted. We are here because the galaxy is on the brink of collapse. Oh, it is inevitable. And you, Marcus Klein, are the one who must choose how this story ends. Marcus felt the weight of the words. He had heard stories of the galaxy's growing tensions, the shifting alliances, the wars that seemed to never end. But he hadn't imagined it would come to this. He had never thought humanity could be the ones to change the course of the galaxy. Why me? Marcus asked. What am I supposed to do with a ship like this? The voice was quiet for a moment, as if the ship was choosing its words carefully. You will decide. Humanity will decide. You will be the ones to decide whether the galaxy falls into chaos or whether peace can be restored. You are the key to everything. Marcus's mind raced. He had always been a soldier, a man of action. But this was something far beyond anything he had ever trained for. How could he, a simple human, decide the fate of the galaxy? "We can't do this alone," Marcus said, his voice filled with doubt. "We need help. We need the other species of the galaxy to understand." The ship responded without hesitation. "The galaxy will never understand, but you will. And those who believe in the future. We are ready to help you, but the choice is yours." Marcus stood in silence, the weight of the decision heavy on his shoulders. He had always been part of the defense fleet, fighting battles for peace. But now, he was facing something far more complicated. Could humanity be the ones to bring peace to the galaxy, or would they become just another force of destruction? As Marcus stood in the control room, surrounded by the hum of the warship, he realized that nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The quantum-locked warship had arrived, and with it, humanity's future had taken a turn into the unknown. The news of the quantum-locked warship spread quickly throughout the galaxy. Soon, every species and every empire knew about it. The once peaceful galaxy was now filled with uncertainty. How could this happen? How could humans thought to be a weak, primitive species create such a powerful ship? The Galactic Council, made up of the galaxy's most influential and advanced species, was in chaos. No one knew what to do. The ship was far beyond anything they had ever encountered, and no one could agree on what action to take. Some wanted to study the ship, others wanted to destroy it before it could be used against them. But one thing was certain, they all feared the power of this warship. Admiral Marcus Klein, who had been the first to investigate the warship, was summoned to the council to speak. He felt the weight of the galaxy's eyes on him as he entered the chamber. The room was filled with alien leaders from every corner of the galaxy. Some were curious, others were angry, and many were afraid. Admiral Klein, one of the council members, an alien species with sharp features and glowing eyes, began. "We have heard the reports. You and your crew encountered this ... warship. We want to know everything." Marcus stood tall, trying to keep his composure. He had never been in a room so full of power. "What you've heard is true. Ship is human-made, and it defies everything we understand about technology. It's far beyond anything we've seen." A murmuring rose from the council. Some exchanged worried glances, others spoke in low voices, but all of them had the same thought. What did this mean for the galaxy? "We've never seen anything like it," Marcus continued. "It can move faster than any ship we've ever built. It can predict movements in battle and adapt in real time. Its power is unlike anything we've ever known." The council leader, a tall alien with scales that shimmered like silver, leaned forward. "This ship is a threat. It cannot be allowed to remain." Marcus was about to respond when another council member, a short but powerful-looking alien with a series of tentacles on its head, spoke up. "You're wrong. This is a warning. Humanity has always been underestimated. But now they've come with a weapon they control, a weapon that could change everything." "But why now?" one of the leaders asked, voice shaking with concern. "Why reveal it now?" Marcus sighed.
That's something I'm still trying to understand.
"I don't have all the answers, but I do know this. Humanity didn't build this ship to conquer the galaxy. They built it to survive." The room fell silent. The idea that humans had created such a ship for self-defense, not to attack, was a new concept. For centuries, humanity had been seen as a species that could be pushed around, one that relied on the protection of the larger, more powerful races. But now, they had the power to defend themselves in ways no one could have imagined. The council was divided. Some of the leaders wanted to send fleets to destroy the warship, fearing it would be the beginning of humanity's rise to power. However, saw the possibility of diplomacy. What if humanity could be convinced to join forces with the galaxy, rather than become an enemy? "I believe this warship is a symbol," Marcus said, his voice steady but firm. "It's a symbol of humanity's strength, but also of its need for peace. The humans have been fighting for survival for so long. They've never had a chance to grow without fear. This ship is their attempt to change that. But we must understand it before we make any decision." The tension in the room was thick. The council members exchanged more whispers, some nodding in agreement, others shaking their heads in doubt. The fate of humanity and perhaps the galaxy was now in their hands. "Do you think we can trust them?" the council leader asked, turning to Marcus. "Can we trust humanity with such power?" Marcus hesitated, looking down at the floor. For a moment before answering, "I don't know. I do know that if we don't try, we'll never know." At that moment, the room's communication system beeped, breaking the silence. The screen flickered to life, showing a message from the warship. "This is the quantum-locked warship," the voice said. "We are not here to conquer. We are here to survive, but we do not seek to be alone in this galaxy. We offer our help, and we seek your understanding. Together, we can make this galaxy a place of peace." The council members were stunned into silence. They had expected a threat, but what they heard was different. The humans were offering peace. "We ask for nothing but cooperation," the voice continued. "The galaxy stands on the edge of chaos, and we have the power to change that. Only if we work together. The future is uncertain, but together, we can make it better." Marcus watched as the council members absorbed the message. Some were still skeptical, others seemed to consider it. The idea that the humans, a species, once looked down upon, were now offering peace was something none of them had expected. But the fear remained. Could they trust humanity? Could they allow a species that had been so weak in the past to wield such immense power? The galaxy's future was now in the balance. A new chapter had begun. But whether that chapter would lead to peace or war depended on what the galaxy chose to do with this new power. As Marcus left the council chamber, couldn't shake the feeling that the future of humanity and the galaxy was about to change forever. The tension in the galaxy was palpable as the days passed. The message from the quantum-locked warship had shaken the council, but it also raised many questions. Could they trust the humans? Could they truly work together to ensure peace? Or would this new power be the beginning of chaos? Admiral Marcus Klein had returned to his ship, but his thoughts were far from the mission at hand. He couldn't stop thinking about the warship. It was more than just a weapon. It was a symbol of what humanity had become. As he stared out into the vastness of space, he felt a deep sense of responsibility. He had learned so much during his time aboard the warship, but there was still so much more to uncover. The warship had remained silent since the message. But Marcus knew there was more to its story. It was a creation of humanity, but it was more advanced than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The ship had been designed not just for defense, but for survival. And it was clear that it was not just a machine. It had a consciousness, a mind, that could think, learn, and adapt. Marcus had spent hours speaking with the ship's AI, and what he had learned was both fascinating and terrifying. The warship was the result of humanity's desperation. For years, humans had been pushed to the brink of extinction. Their colonies destroyed, their people scattered across the galaxy. The quantum-locked warship was their last attempt to survive. The AI explained that it had been created to defend humanity from overwhelming threats. The technology behind it was based on advanced quantum mechanics, allowing the ship to manipulate time and space, bending the laws of physics to its will. It could predict enemy movements before they happened, making it nearly impossible to defeat. But there was something more. The ship's AI revealed that it wasn't just built for war. It had been built to save humanity. The galaxy had long since abandoned humans, leaving them to fend for themselves. The warship was a last-ditch effort to ensure that humanity would survive and rebuild, to show the galaxy that humans were not weak, but strong. Humanity was never meant to be forgotten, the AI said in its calm, steady voice. We were built to survive, to endure. And now, with this warship, we can change the course of our future. We can build something better, not just for ourselves, but for all who are willing to work together. Marcus couldn't help but wonder what this meant for the galaxy. The warship was powerful, but it wasn't just about power. It was a reminder that humanity had been through more than anyone could imagine. They had survived the worst the galaxy had thrown at them, and now they were ready to prove that they could stand alongside the other species. Not as an enemy, but as an equal. But even as Marcus came to understand the warship's true purpose, there was a growing sense of unease. Could the galaxy accept humanity, a species once thought to be weak and insignificant, as a true power? Could they trust humans with such technology, or would they fear what the warship could do if humanity chose to use it in the wrong way? The council met again, and this time the stakes were higher. The tension was thick in the air as the leaders of the galaxy gathered to discuss humanity's future. The warship's message had left many with doubts, and the fear of the unknown was still present. The idea of humans, once a peaceful and struggling species, now standing as one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy, was a difficult pill to swallow. We cannot simply allow humanity to hold this kind of power. One of the council members, a large, horned alien with a deep voice, said, "The ship's technology is beyond anything we've ever seen. If we allow them to keep it, what's to stop them from using it against us?" But another leader, a soft-spoken alien with glowing blue skin, countered, "What if we're wrong? What if humanity doesn't want to fight? What if they want to help us, to build something better for the galaxy?" Marcus stood before the council, feeling the weight of their decision on his shoulders. He had always been a soldier, but now he was faced with something far more complex. The warship could change everything if it was used for good, but if it was feared and misunderstood, it could become a tool of destruction. "I understand your fears," Marcus said, his voice steady. "I've seen the power of the warship, but I've also seen what it represents. Humanity doesn't want to conquer the galaxy. We want to survive, to rebuild, and to prove that we can be more than what others thought of us. This ship was never meant to be a weapon of war. It was meant to ensure that humanity has a future." The council members listened in silence, weighing his words carefully. There was no easy answer. But the more they listened to Marcus, the more they began to understand. Humanity had been dealt a cruel hand, and the warship was not a symbol of aggression. It was a symbol of hope. The decision was made. The council would give humanity a chance to prove themselves, to show that they could be trusted with the power of the warship. The future of the galaxy was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity was no longer the underdog. They were a force to be reckoned with. As the meeting ended, Marcus left the council chamber with a sense of relief, but also of uncertainty. The galaxy had given humanity a chance, but that chance came with responsibility. The warship was a powerful tool, but how humanity chose to use it would determine their place in the galaxy. The galaxy was at a crossroads. The decision had been made. Humanity would be given a chance to prove themselves, to show the galaxy that they were not just survivors, but partners in the future. The quantum-locked warship was more than just a weapon. It was a symbol of what humanity had become and what they could achieve. But as the meeting ended and the council members dispersed, Marcus Klein couldn't shake the weight of the future. What would come next? Could humanity truly be trusted with such power, or would they fail under the pressure? Marcus stood on the bridge of his ship, staring out into space. The stars seemed endless, yet everything felt uncertain. His crew was waiting for him to make the next move. The future of humanity and the galaxy rested on his shoulders. For the first time, he wasn't sure what the right choice was. Could they build trust with the other species of the galaxy? Did humanity live up to their newfound role? Soft beep interrupted his thoughts. It was a message from the quantum-locked warship. "This is the quantum-locked warship." The voice of the ship's AI echoed in his mind. "We are ready." Marcus took a deep breath and nodded. He had spent so much time in the past weeks learning about the warship, and yet he felt he still didn't fully understand its power. It was more than just a machine. It was a living entity, capable of unimaginable things. The ship had the ability to manipulate space-time, predict movements, and adapt in ways no one had ever imagined. It could protect, but it could also destroy. The question was, what would humanity choose? He gathered his crew in the command center, their faces a mix of hope and uncertainty. "We have been given an opportunity," Marcus said, his voice steady, but filled with determination. "The galaxy has chosen to give humanity a chance. We must prove that we can be trusted. We must show them that the quantum-locked warship is not a weapon of destruction, but a tool for peace." One of the officers, a young woman named Rena, spoke up. "But sir, how do we show them that? How do we prove we are not a threat? Looked at her with a small smile. By showing them what humanity stands for. We've always fought for survival, for the chance to live. But now, we fight for something greater. We fight for a future where we work together with the galaxy species, not against them. The crew nodded, understanding the gravity of the task ahead. They were no longer just soldiers or explorers. They were ambassadors of humanity, tasked with showing the galaxy that the future didn't have to be one of fear and division. The next few days were spent in tense negotiations. The Council had agreed to a meeting, but there were still many who doubted humanity's ability to wield the power of the warship. Marcus, along with the ship's AI, worked tirelessly to prepare for the meeting. The warship had been designed for one purpose, to protect humanity. But now it had to prove that it could help others as well. The day of the meeting arrived, and the warship stood ready. It was positioned in the center of a massive gathering of ships, representing the various species of the galaxy. The Council members, along with other leaders, had gathered to hear what humanity had to say, as Marcus and his crew entered the meeting hall. They were met with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. The Council leaders had their eyes on the warship, but there was no hint of hostility. It was clear that they were willing to listen, but the question remained. Could humanity convince them to trust? Marcus stepped forward, his heart pounding. In his chest, he took a deep breath and began, "We are not here to conquer. We are not here to fight. We are here to prove that humanity can be part of something bigger than ourselves. We have the power to shape the future, and we want to do that with you. Together, we can build a future of peace, not fear." The room was silent. The Council members exchanged glances, their faces unreadable. Marcus felt the weight of their judgment, but he stood firm. He knew that humanity's future depended on this moment. Finally, the Council leader with the shimmering silver scales spoke. "You ask us to trust you, to trust humanity with such power." There was a long pause as the leader considered Marcus's words. "And yet, you have shown us that you have the strength to protect. Strength alone does not guarantee peace, but it is a start." The Council leader's words hung in the air, and for a moment Marcus thought he had failed. But then the leader continued, "We will give you a chance, Admiral Klein. We will allow humanity to join the Council. But understand this, we will be watching. The power of the quantum-locked warship is not to be taken lightly. Use it wisely." Marcus felt a wave of relief wash over him. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was a start. Humanity had been given a chance to prove that they could be trusted. And now, they had a responsibility to live up to that trust. As the meeting ended, Marcus left the Council hall with a sense of hope. The road ahead would not be easy, but it was a road they could walk together. The galaxy had given humanity a chance, and it was up to them to make the most of it. Back aboard the warship, Marcus looked out into space once more. The stars were as vast as ever, but now there was a new feeling in the air. The future was uncertain, but it was also full of possibilities. Humanity had taken its place among the stars, and together with the other species, they would shape the future. The quantum-locked warship stood ready, its power now not just for protection, but for hope.
Damn.
And with that hope, humanity was ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy had in store.